Hi, my name is Jessica Green, and I'm your student's Algebra 1 teacher for this year. The purpose of this video is to just kind of go over a little bit of information from our class so that you know how it is going to be conducted throughout the year. So the first slide that I have here is all of my information. You see on here that my email address is listed as well as my extension here at the high school. The best way to get a hold of me is by email, simply because we're busy throughout the day, so we don't have time to answer the phone or check voicemails as frequently as we can check our emails. So that is the best way to get a hold of me. There are a few supplies that I ask the students to have every day here in class. First of which is pencils. I do have a few extras to spare, but as the year goes on, those tend to get depleted. So please make sure that your students have pencils. There is a class workbook that each student received a couple weeks ago. It is a consumable workbook. So what that means is it's a textbook that students are allowed to write in. It's soft cover rather than hardcover, so the students can take notes in it and do practice and things like that. The last thing that I recommend is the TI-30XS calculator, which you can see on the screen here in the picture on the right-hand side. The reason why I recommend this calculator is because it has great fraction features, which I know students tend to struggle with, so that would help them out a lot. That said, if your student already has a calculator that they are comfortable with, I'm more than okay with them using that calculator. The only types that I don't necessarily recommend are any of the ones that will graph for them, so any graphing calculator, simply because they're not allowed to use that whenever we get to the graphing portion of our units. So that will be graphing lines this semester and graphing quadratics in second semester. So they'll just have to have a different calculator to use during those time periods. Otherwise, they'll be able to use that calculator throughout the year. The calculator that you see here on the screen is also able to be used throughout every math course that your student will take here at Carmel High School. Quizzes and tests. So each chapter is going to have a test. It's typically at the end of the unit. The longer units will also have a quiz in the middle. So we'll probably go 3 or 4 lessons, take a quiz, 3 or 4 lessons, and then take a test over the material that covers the entire unit. Now, there are some retake options and quiz replacement options for your students to take advantage of if they need to. Quiz replacement just means that if your student does better on a chapter test than they did on the quiz for that same chapter, then the test score that they got for that chapter will replace the score that they got for their quiz. So basically, it becomes their test and quiz score. So for example, if your student received let's say a 60% on a quiz for a chapter, but then they got a 90% on the test for that same chapter, their quiz score will become a 90%, and then their test score is a 90% as well. And there's no cap on that, so if they got 100%, their quiz would become 100% as well. They're also able to retake any test from a unit. They only get one retake, though, so it's not like they can keep retaking a bunch of times. There's no limit to the score that they get on that, so if they get 100% on the retake, that becomes their new test score. And that would apply to the quiz replacement as well. If they retake a test and do better than they did on the quiz, then that score will replace their quiz score as well. There is one thing that students have to do in order to be eligible to retake, and all that is to make sure that they complete all of their homework by 11:59 p.m. the night before a test. All of our homework is on ALEKS, which I'll touch on here in a little bit. So they have the ability to keep trying their homework over and over and over again until they get it right. But the key here is that they have it done by 11:59 p.m. the night before a test if they want to be able to potentially retake should they need to. So I touched on the homework a little bit just a second ago. It is on a program called ALEKS, which is housed in McGraw-Hill. Your students have access to that website from Canvas. It's on the left side in the navigation tab. Just click McGraw-Hill, and then it will bring up 2 options for them. There are 2 tiles. One of them has a picture of what looks like our textbook, and the other one says ALEKS. ALEKS is the one you want to go to find your students' homework. Like I said, students are able to redo problems over and over and over again until they finally get it right. So in theory, your students should always get 100% on their homework. I'm also more than willing to help them with it should they be struggling at all. They just need to get an SSRT pass from me and come see me, and we can work on that homework. Students will typically be assigned one homework assignment each time we have class, assuming that we have new material. So review days and test days will never have homework, except to study for the tests on review days. It's just whenever we have a new lesson. And I try to keep the assignments a little bit short, so 10 questions or less, just so that they're not bogged down by those types of problems. And if your student ever needs extra practice, all they need to do is click the try another button down at the bottom and it'll give them another one. So they always have the opportunity to practice more if they want to. Assignments should be completed by the next class period. However, late assignments will be accepted until the night before the test, not the day of the test, but there will be no penalty for that. So I always go in and grade the homework the day, like the morning of their class. So if your student has class with me on a gold day, I always grade their homework the morning of a gold day. But if they don't have it completed, they have until the night before a test to finish it up. All right, the grade is calculated in two ways. It's 80% summative assessment, so those are your tests and quizzes, and it's 20% formative, so that's homework and any in-class work that we have, which will occur every so often. Not all the time, but it will sometimes happen. All right, the Canvas modules look like the picture that you see here on the screen. I will label them based on what test we're on. So this module here is from test 1, which we already took last week. So if you see here, I've labeled each bit underneath the module by date and what color the day is for each class. And the very last module here is all of the study guides and their keys that students can use to help them study for their test. And then on the inside, this is what it looks like. I try to keep it real basic so students know where to find everything. The notes key will always be at the top, followed by what the homework is, and if there's any upcoming tests, I put that in there as well. That's all the information I have about the class. I'm very excited to be working with your students this year, and if you have any questions whatsoever, please reach out to me. I'm happy to help in any way that I can. Again, email is the best way to do that, but if you'd rather have a voice-to-voice call, feel free to give me a call, and if I can't answer the phone, I'll give you a call back as soon as I can.